Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walkoff here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk softball here to start with the head coach, Greg Jones. And you're not going to want to talk to us off camera because I want to bring up something that we talked about off camera last week when we were done with all the interviews, and that's the sabermetrics. You're not into that at all. I'm not either, but I know that we have a couple people around here that live and die by that. And so I kind of want to get your take as to, you know, what place does it have, if any, in the game, and why is it that you're not adapting to it?
I wouldn't say I'm not completely adapted to it. I just trust my gut a lot. I've been doing it for a long time, and I don't want to say that I'm old school. I just know what works for us and for me, and I truly believe that the greatest part about statistics is they tell a great story. But what they do is they tell a story of the past, and they tell us what happened. You can use those numbers, obviously, to predict what may happen in the future. And it's as good of a predictor as your gut probably is. But I try to get our kids not to look at their numbers, and it's kind of a practice what you preach thing. Don't worry about what your batting average is. That's a glory number. It doesn't tell us anything. You know, don't worry about what your ERA is and things like that with our pitchers. And so part of it is, I'm not going to worry about it, don't you worry about it. But then another big part is just that, of trusting what I see. And our games are so right on top of each other. And you have to make decisions in a moment, you know, and between games and from this day to this day. And you're trying to play the hot hand, and you're trying to play what's really working well. Based on what I see, not on what a number tells me. So that's kind of been my big drive with it over the years.
All right, last question about that in the recruiting process. Do you see that used more and more in trying to sell people to take you as a player?
You know, and I think at the Major League Baseball level, I think sabermetrics, that's where it's at its best, is when you're trying to formulate and put together a ball club. And we've talked about it in recruiting. I wish that we could use it more in recruiting to try to find that balance. The challenge has been with recruiting, because you're recruiting kids from all over the Midwest and all over the country, that there's no uniformity to how the numbers, what they mean, what kind of pitching they're seeing, and what kind of conditions they're playing in, and things like that, and the level of talent they're playing against. So we haven't been able to find numbers that really mean much to us in recruiting yet. So.
Okay, very good. Let's talk about some of the games that you had this weekend and last week. We got to see the Wayne State games, so there were two wins at home. Let's talk about the first game. It was a 6-2 win. Hannah Lithberg had a really good day on the mound, and the bats really showed up in those two games.
They did, and I thought offensively what we did really well was we separated. We got some runs, and then we continued to add runs on, and we took a game where they started out with the lead in the game one and hit the home run off of Hannah. We came back, we tied it, and then we separated and moved forward. I really thought those were probably the best two offensive games we had all year. Not because it was the totality of the numbers, but that we just stayed on them the whole game. We just kept our foot on the accelerator the whole time, and we'd get runners on, we'd move runners over, we'd get clutch hits and drive runners in. We were able to get 2 out hits and score with 2 outs and things like that. So I was really happy with the offensive production. But again, then we still won the game because pitching and defense, we held them down, and we were able to separate because we didn't give them anything to catch up with as well.
Now in game 2, it was interesting to see that Wayne State went with the same pitcher that they went with in game 1. Now she didn't pitch the whole first game, but she pitched 4 innings, I think, and then came on to pitch the first 4 innings of the second game. Did that give your team a little bit more of an advantage? I know you made some changes in your lineup too, but having seen her and seen her stuff through 4 innings?
I think so. It's different. Back when I first started this gig a long time ago, everybody went with the same horse, and you just rode that kid, and she pitched doubleheaders and whoever it was, and we were very fortunate at the time to have a dominant pitcher that we could do that with, but a lot of teams did it, and you don't see that much anymore, and I think part of that is just that, where kids get comfortable see any kid. Now you've seen her 4 or 5 times, and so I think it has an advantage, to be certain.
Okay, let's move on then to the St. Cloud State game, because you had some history with Hannah Lithberg throwing a no-hitter and only giving up 2 walks in that game, so that close to a perfect game. Talk about that and kind of what that means to the program. It's a rarity.
It is. We've had a lot of success, but to have her be the 18th time in the program's history to throw a no-hitter, and it's not easy to throw a no-hitter, and especially in this league in this day and age with the offense and the equipment and the bats and everything else. And she threw the ball well. I can be completely honest with you that I had no idea it was a no-hitter. I got caught up in she had a couple walks and hit by pitch. We made 2 errors, so there were base runners, and we were always defending and turned a couple double plays. I thought we played really well defensively. We hit the ball well again and expanded the lead, and so you were so caught up in the game, and then we didn't win game 2, and you're caught up in that moment. And it wasn't until I saw it on Twitter on the bus that I actually saw. That's what alerted me to it. So I stood up on the bus and acknowledged it to the team and to Hannah, because it is a big deal. It's a really special moment for her. It's great for the program, and it rewards her for her hard work. So we wanted to make sure we acknowledge it. But she did have a great game.
So can I infer, if you didn't know about it and you made an announcement on the bus, that nobody else on the team knew that it was a no-hitter either?
I don't think during the game anybody did. Usually we kind of have that feel. You kind of know it going, because we've had a lot of near no-hitters, and and you do, and especially as a coaching staff, we kind of say we're up big, and I don't want to sub out here because we got a no-hitter going, or if it's a close game and all of a sudden you give up that hit and you're calling pitches and things get a little bit tense, and you kind of know it. But I don't think during the course of action anybody knew it. I said something then to Hannah afterwards, after I'd announced it to the team, and we were stopping to eat, and I congratulated her individually, and I said, "Did you know it?" She goes, "No, but my dad did right away." And so I laughed. But so I think there were people that were aware of it, but at that time I didn't. I don't know that anybody on the bench knew it.
All right, and let's talk about another rarity. This one, kind of a bad one. You're in a 3-game losing streak now, which I don't know if I've ever really seen that at Winona State. Talk about what happened in the games against Minnesota Duluth.
I give Minnesota Duluth a lot of credit. They were scrappy. We had 4 leads and blew all 4 of them. We were up 1-0 and then 2-1, and then ended up losing that 3-2 in the last inning. And then the second game we were up 2-0 and gave that all back too. And they scored, out of all the runs they scored on the day, they scored all but one of them with 2 outs. And it's as much of a credit to them as it is a detriment to us, but it was the first time in my 16 years we've lost 2 games in a row at home, and to lose 3 in a row is tough. But we haven't had practice now since then, but my message to the kids going into today when we see them is the sky isn't falling. 3-3 isn't a bad week, and a 3-game losing streak isn't the end of the world, and let's prepare ourselves now to go forward instead of looking backwards. But Duluth just had a really good game plan. They just stayed on us. The top of the order hit the ball really well. They started a lot of rallies with 2 outs, and they finished a lot of rallies with 2 outs. And the fact that they put 7 on us with 2 outs in 1 inning is pretty significant. And so I think we just have to look at it as a rarity. It was a bump in the road. It's not we have to be careful not to identify ourselves by our struggles here, and that we aren't any more that team than we were the team that won 10-0 the day before. The truth is we're somewhere in the middle, and we've got to figure that out.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walkoff, and when we come back, we'll get the player perspective as Alex Walker joins us right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC Advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
Integrate your business communications services with HBC. You'll be connected to the area's leader in internet and data solutions with speeds up to 1 gigabit, not to mention the most customizable and reliable telephone network in the area. Your customers and guests will enjoy crystal clear video and audio throughout your business. HBC Professional Solutions customers receive consulting and IT support, conferencing solutions, fast reliable cloud service, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff. Time now to talk to one of the players on the Winona State softball team. We have Alex Walker joining us. Thanks for joining us today.
Yep, thank you.
Let's start out by talking about family, because you have an older sister who graduated last year from Winona State, and I just found out you have a twin sister as well. So what was that like growing up in a family of athletes and also have a twin sister as well?
You know, it's fun. Playing with Ashley is probably one of the best experiences I've gotten to have. Obviously, I did in high school because when I was a freshman, she was a senior and the star pitcher. So kind of like last year too. So now that she's graduated, I guess it's kind of my turn to step up a little bit. But yeah, it's great. I love it. Yeah.
What was it like to play with your sister both in high school and then also in the college level?
It was great. I've learned a lot from her. She's a really big role model in my life, obviously. Yeah, she has taught me a lot. That's about it. She's great.
All right, and now is obviously your chance now to kind of separate yourself, because you got 3 years now for yourself, and you're the number 2 pitcher in the lineup right now. So talk about that a little bit. I know you had a very successful high school career. Talk about what it's like to have the kind of spotlight on you now.
You know, it's fun. It's a little tough transitioning from not playing at all last year to starting a good chunk of the games is a little hard. It is fun. I learn a lot from Hannah. She really leads by example. Every time I'm down or kind of struggling, she really picks me up. When I'm down, she picks me up right away. So it's really great. We have a lot of really good leaders on the team. And defensively, we've been doing great. I feel really comfortable out on the field, so that's really good. I know every time something's hit to the right side, I've got Chelsea and Reed and Nat over there. I'm really confident with our defense. So.
All right,
Yeah.
well, let's talk a little bit about kind of last year and the difference between last year and this year. Because as we were talking with Hannah last week, you had said that Alex had made one start last year, and it just didn't feel right to you, and you maybe had the same feeling as well. What's the difference between last year and this year as a player?
Well, from last year, I obviously matured more. I think as a freshman going into that game, I kind of needed that. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. My senior year of high school, I got hurt, so I didn't play. Kind of came right into college with not throwing for about a year. And yeah, so I got rocked a little bit, and I think I needed that to work forward and to mature more as a pitcher and to kind of show me that I really need to step up and work harder. And yeah.
So what have you seen as a difference between last year's freshman and this year's sophomore?
Oh, we've just watched Alex grow up right before our eyes. It's been amazing, you know, really even going back to fall ball where she was. And you know, she's developed a different repertoire. You know, her ability to change speeds and change eye levels has been, you know, vital to her. She can go up, down, in, out, and then she can get you going front to back. But to me, she touched on the maturity side of it. I think is a big piece of it. And kids never know that until they have it happen to them, until they get there. And I think the biggest change for Alex that I have seen is when a lot of young pitchers go through that they spend a lot of time trying to get people to miss the ball, and that's the opposite of what we actually want. We actually want you to get them to hit the ball, and then we'll play defense for you. And the moment you make that change as a pitcher, and it's a mental thing, that's when you become a pitcher instead of a thrower. And she kind of went through that phase, and even early this year in February, we saw that. And we said, Alex, we got to get you to pitch to contact. And then once we were able to do that, that's really where she's taken off.
All right, last minute here of the interview. What is that change mentally to you when you're in the circle and you're not trying to strike somebody out, but you're actually trying to make them hit the ball?
Well, for me, I obviously am that kind of pitcher. I'm not a strikeout pitcher, so I do use my defense a lot. And with them making great plays, they're always stepping up and they've always got my back. So mentally, it's actually comforting. I'm never nervous with them. They are continuously making really good plays and picking me up. If I give up a bomb, they're like, you know what, we're fine, we'll get you on the next one. And yeah, so it's sometimes hard, but I mean, we have great teammates and great defense, so they make my job really easy.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for joining us today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, and we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walkoff, and when we come back, we'll talk to the baseball team right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill. Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25.
Go beyond entertainment with HBC GigaWorld and get the broadband experience. Video chat without buffering. Stream your favorite shows and movies with TV to go. Dominate your online games and more with gigabit internet speeds. Watch over 300 video channels, including high definition, sports, HBO, Cinemax Stars Plus, Encore Showtime, and more. Call friends and family with reliable, crystal clear, unlimited local and domestic long distance phone service. Experience broadband the way it's meant to be with HBC GigaWorld. Visit hbci.com to get started today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25. Time now to switch gears to baseball, and joined now by Patrick Riley, one of the assistant coaches for the Warrior baseball team. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem.
Let's talk a little bit about you. How long have you been with the Warrior program?
Yeah, this will be my 6th year, I believe. 2 years as a graduate assistant, and then the last 4 years as assistant coach and doing a lot of the recruiting duties.
All right, so there's you, and Matt O'Brien is on the
Correct.
staff as well.
Yep.
So what are your duties, and what are some of the duties of assistant coaches on the team?
Yeah, I do a lot of the day-to-day stuff, a lot of the behind-the-scenes things. Typically in the fall, I do a lot of the recruiting, get a lot of kids on campus, try and get them to kind of see the positives of Winona State from a baseball standpoint and academic standpoint. And day-to-day, I deal typically, at least the majority of the time, with our position players. All the hitting stuff we do on a daily basis, and then all of our defensive stuff. We kind of rotate a little bit. I typically have the infielders the most. Yeah, Coach O'Brien deals with predominantly the pitchers, and then Coach Polk, kind of like a major league manager, oversees everything.
Okay, so what's your history in baseball? What brought you here to Winona State?
Yeah, I played college baseball, originally from Iowa City, and I knew one of the assistant coaches, Seth Wing, who was here for a long time. He played here, went to school here, was a coach for about 6-7 years. I knew him from working actually at the University of Iowa baseball camps, got to know him, kind of gave me some of the positives of coming up here. I always wanted to get into coaching. I'd worked for a little less than 2 years, kind of in like the finances, I had a business degree, and just decided I didn't really like it and really wanted to get into coaching. I was at an area high school coaching, just kind of in the part-time while I was working. Really liked it, wanted to stay in it, and was fortunate enough to know Seth, and Kyle was, I don't know if it was smart or dumb move, but nice enough to give me an opportunity once Seth went on to run his own program down in Mount Vernon, Iowa at Cornell College, and luckily have been here since.
All right, and what's the off season like for you?
Yeah, our off season, as soon as we're done, kind of depends on when we finish up, but typically around May or June. Then we just start going to a lot of high school games. Kyle typically goes to Wisconsin, that's where he's from. And I try and go to as many games in Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois as I can, just to see the local talent. So it's pretty much all summer, a lot of high school games, a lot of American Legion games. Then it kind of switches over to the fall, where it's a lot of travel ball, a lot of those travel teams play. But my only duties actually at Winona State are coaching. Since the new athletic director came in, I worked part-time admissions, part-time baseball. He took the admissions side out and got me to work full-time baseball. So a lot of recruiting, on the road a lot, but it's fun. I can't say how lucky I am to be here.
All right, very good. And then the question of the day, now you weren't in here when the softball team was in here, but are you into sabermetrics? Is that a strong suit of yours or not?
Yeah, I'm a big numbers guy, but we don't use sabermetrics a whole lot, obviously, at this level, just because there's not as many games. But I'm a big fan of it at the major league level. I like to kind of look and see what they do. We actually had a discussion just the other day. A lot of pro teams are now moving their so-called three-hitter down to the 2 spot. So we talked about some of those things. So we don't do it as nearly as in-depth as they do at that next level because they play so many games, but it's something that's definitely of interest to me.
Okay, let's get talking about the games this weekend, and really was a tale of 2 days against Minnesota Duluth. The first weekend, or first day, 27-15, you're outscored in the 2 games. Talk about those games. Bulldogs hit 6 home runs in game 1 over the weekend. So What happened in those games?
Yeah, the first 2 games were rough. We knew coming in that Duluth was going to be very good. They have a lot of returning guys, especially position players. They're essentially 3, 4, and 5 hitters have been there for the last 4 years. We knew they were good. And it's one of those days, a short porch and right, and a little bit of wind is a good combo to hit some home runs. So they did a good job of squaring Mitch Dahlsberg up, but at the same time, there are a couple balls that we thought were going to be outs that snuck over the wall. And from a mental standpoint, it's tough knowing, hey, you're going to get the 3rd out, but instead it's a 3-run home run. So unfortunately, from that standpoint, they put up a lot of runs, and we didn't put up enough. But we did a good job offensively as well. But yeah, they looked like football scores. But all in all, it was a tough day, but it was good to see the guys rebound the next day.
And you really kind of fought things off too. There were a couple of times where you could have been 10-run. I don't remember if that was the first game or the second game, but you kept coming back to extend the game and keep giving your team a chance to be in the game and maybe even get a chance to win. Talk about the strength of the team. Yeah,
it's never something that you want to go in and say, hey, let's not get 10 runs here, but it does say a lot about the guys on the team. I heard it from a couple guys in the dugout, hey, we're not getting 10 runs. Let's go and get a couple extra at-bats, see what happens. Because as you can see, they put up some big numbers in 1 inning. We did the same thing the next day. We put up an 8 spot. So it's definitely a possibility, especially at our place, as short as right field is and with a little wind. You can put up 5, 6, 7 runs in an inning. But yeah, our guys, they are really workers. It's really nice to see how hard they work. And I know the record hasn't really shown what they've done in the offseason, but these 2 wins were the next 2 games. The 2 wins were huge for us. So hopefully, from that standpoint, they can kind of roll into this upcoming game against Southwest.
All right. Well, let's talk about the 2 positive games then that you had the next day. And really, Mitch Voter is going to be our guest coming up. It was really the Mitch Voter show. 10 RBI over that span. Talk about those games and what was the difference between the first day of the weekend and the second day?
Yeah, Mitch did a great job. It was kind of the Voter day. Jay threw really well, and then Mitch obviously hit really well, and then pitched at the end there. The big difference to me is we just came out a little bit, it's kind of cliche, but a little bit more hungry. Kind of got embarrassed. We had a big crowd on Sunday, a lot of people there, and didn't really show them what we can do. So from that standpoint, it was great to just put up a 5 spot and then a 4 spot those first 2 innings on Monday. Just very exciting for the guys. They did a great job of just having a short-term memory and not letting those first 2 games really affect them.
And now coming up, you have a really interesting schedule because at least on the schedule, and that's weather permitting and things can change, you have 12 road games coming up before you come back home. How much does that matter that you're going to be going on that long of a time that you're not going to be playing at home?
Yeah, it's tough. Our guys do a good job with it. They're good students, so that helps out too. They're very organized with, hey, what days are we going to miss? We try and communicate with them as much as we can. But yeah, being on the road is never fun, and the locations that we're going are going to be pretty chilly too, so that's not ideal. But again, our guys, they like to work hard and they're up for any challenges, so we'll take it all in stride.
And then on the flip side of that, 9 of your last 10 games are at home. So how much of a mental push is that you're going to be able to have that home field advantage for most of the end of the schedule?
Yeah, we're really looking forward to getting those games later in the season at home. Hopefully we're still playing for something, getting a chance to play in the conference tournament. We've got a lot of things later in the season lined up for alumni to come back. Our 2011 World Series team's coming back, so hopefully we can put a good product on the field and show those former players that the program's still in good hands.
No, that should be fun to get that team back here.
Definitely.
I remember we were out there for that 2011 run, so very good. Thank you for joining us here. We're going to take a break on Warriors Walkoff, and when we come back, Mitch Voter will join us right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Hi, I'm Dan Picarino with HBC. Our goal has always been to offer the very best TV experience and value possible. Customers often ask, why do we have to pay for a bunch of channels we don't even watch? It's kind of like this. Imagine going into a convenience store and wanting to buy a bag of chips. But to get those chips, you're required to also purchase a candy bar, a slice of pizza, a sandwich, and a pack of gum. That's how one channel you want becomes 4, 5, or even more channels in your lineup. Today, there are 6 multi-billion-dollar corporations that control 90% of the existing networks and programming. We feel strongly that these corporations should not be allowed to double or triple their rates from year to year. There are times that HBC must challenge these media companies to keep their rates reasonable. We hope you will join us in this fight. Please visit tvonmyside.com/HBC to learn more. And thank you for choosing HBC.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff here on HBC TV 25, now joined by Mitch Voter. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I guess the first question is, how close did you come to getting an RBI on the way to the studio here?
It seems to be either RBI or strikeout right now, so hopefully it was an RBI.
Well, let's start talking about yesterday, well, as we tape, it's yesterday, Monday's games where you had 10 RBI in the 2 games. Is it as easy as saying that, sometimes the ball just looks a little bit bigger as it's coming towards you?
Yeah, it definitely did for me. The whole weekend, actually, I've been kind of struggling coming into the weekend, and I just looked to relax more and just put the bat on the ball, and it really came to fruition this weekend as I just started hitting the ball up the middle, and then the home runs came naturally along with that as I started making contact. So, yeah, the ball looked more like a beach ball coming in yesterday.
So we were talking to Patrick. It was really a tale of 2 days where didn't play all that well. I shouldn't say you didn't play well on Sunday because you were able to come back in some of those games. But what, from the player perspective, was the difference in how you approach the games or the execution in the weekend where there are such different results?
Well, we come into every game about the same. It's just really, we haven't started off hot in the games we've been losing. And on Monday, you could see that we, right away, off the bat, we were scoring 5 runs, 4 runs in those innings. And that just gets everybody, it gets the momentum going instead of getting down on ourselves. Because they scored 2 runs in the first inning of both those games. And we came right out and showed them that, hey, we're here to hit 2. So it was more of a confidence thing right at the beginning of the game that really made the difference throughout the whole day.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your history because you actually started out at Alabama. Mm-hmm. You had an academic scholarship to go to Alabama. Talk about that and how you decided. Did you play at all at baseball at Alabama?
I did not play there. I talked to the coach my freshman year, and they wanted me to change majors actually to walk on, and I figured it. I had gone in. I wanted to play D1 baseball, mm-hmm. and I didn't really get any offers until real late when I'd already decided I got the academic scholarship to go to school for free at Alabama, so obviously that's what I want to do. And so I decided to focus on school at that point. And once I saw that I could actually graduate in 3.5 years, and my brother was still playing here, I'm like, why not? It'd be awesome to play a few more years with my brother here in Winona.
So are you already a college graduate from Alabama?
Yes, sir. So I got my degree in biology.
Very good. And so what are you studying now at Winona State?
I'm taking sports management classes. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish with the degree. I kind of just came to play baseball and get a 1.5 years off as I'm actually applying for medical school right now. So figured I'd take some time to play baseball, do the thing I love for a little longer.
What's it like as a coach to have brothers on a team? Do they kind of have a way of talking to each other or a way of relating to each other that's different than the other teammates?
Yeah, they do, in my opinion, a good job of kind of nonverbal communication. I know they're both very, very competitive guys. They're not afraid to voice their opinion, which is nice to see, but they do a good job. You can just tell how they interact from the first day Mitch came on campus to even now. They're very comfortable. It's been very, very nice from obviously a talent standpoint to get Mitch here, but just from an attitude standpoint, he's got a great attitude, keeps the guys loose. He's just a real fun guy to be around.
So you said that you came here in part to play the final couple of years with your brother. How has it been so far? Has it been kind of what you thought it would be?
Oh yeah, it's been awesome. Obviously, I wish we could be winning more games right now, but it's awesome for my parents and my family to be able to drive a couple minutes and watch me and Jay play together again before it's all over, It's going to be really cool to finish out this season, both of us ending baseball together,
All right, and then kind of on a personal note, I understand you're a Denver Broncos fan?
Oh yes, big time Denver Broncos fan.
How did that come about, coming from lacrosse and then Alabama and now here to Winona?
Well, I was one of those kids growing up where I was a big player fan before I got with the team, and John Elway, he was my hero as a young kid, and actually my uncle used to live out in Colorado, so I went out and visited one time, and that's kind of when it locked in for me that I love this team. So it's kind of hard being from a family of Packer fans, diehard Packer fans at that, but it's fun.
Yeah, and pretty happy now with the Super Bowl win.
Oh yes, it was a big year for me. I've been waiting a long time to see them win another Super Bowl because I don't really remember the first one when I was really young.
All right. Well, hopefully it'll continue. I know they're in a little bit of a spot now without their quarterback and trying to piece that together, but thank you for joining us here this week, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walkoff. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.